Hi everyone, it's Ileana with another card share from the November card kit from Simon Says Stamp. I'm first going to take the border stamp that comes in the stamp and I'm just going to mount it on the edge of Misty. I'm just removing any fuzz or lint left over from when I cleaned it last. And I'm just pressing it up right up against the edge of Misty, and I'm going to check to see if it's lined up. And I decide that I want to stamp it onto the edge of the grid paper just to double check that it's straight. I'm just inking it with some paper tray ink. It doesn't matter what color it is, it's just for lining it up. And I take a look and the stamp is off just a tiny bit, so I go ahead and clean my stamp and reposition it on the lid. Sometimes when you push the border stamp up against the side of Misty, the way that the manufacturer cuts the photopolymer may not be totally straight. If you notice that on this stamp set, one side is thicker than the other, and so just need to be careful that it's straight. So I changed out the grid paper, and this time the stamp is perfectly straight. I'm taking the red pattern paper that came in the kit, and I've already prepped it with my embossing buddy, and I'm just going to press it up right up against the edge of Misty, and I use the magnet to hold it in place. Once it's stamped, I go ahead and take a scratch sheet of paper and I use the Recollections Gold embossing powder. I will melt the embossing powder and then continue the pattern on the edge of the pattern paper. And you'll notice that I'm only using one magnet, and that's because I was tired of the magnets always sticking to each other. And if you didn't notice, when you purchased your magnet, it does say on the website that they are brittle. So if they do snap together, there's the possibility that they would break in half. The way that they're made, that's just the way it is, that they are brittle. So be careful if yours do break apart. So I'm just lining up the edge of the pattern, and I'm going to re-ink it. And I kind of decide I need to check it one more time, and so I'm just going to try to line it up again, and I'm just trying to continue the pattern. And so I go ahead and use my embossing powder again and heat set it once more. If you let your embossing gun get nice and hot, it will melt it rather quickly, and so it won't warp your paper too much. And so there I'm showing you that the pattern is continued and you can't tell from the close-up. Now I'm going to be stamping the trees, and I am using the Fern ink from Simon Says Stamp, which was from the last release. And once that is stamped, I want to go ahead and I want to have a different variety of trees, and so I choose a different color, and so I go with the paper tray ink New Leaf color, which is just a lighter shade. And so I want two of the smaller trees, and I'm just trying to figure out the best place to put it so that I could just easily move my paper over and not have to reposition the stamp or clean it off. And so this is where I changed my mind about the color. And once that's stamped, I just kind of slide the paper over just to avoid moving the stamp. And so once that's done, I go ahead and I fussy cut them out, and then I just set them aside for the remainder part of my assembly. Part of the video for the sentiment For some reason, I don't think I recorded it and couldn't find it on my computer, but you'll just see the sentiment pop up at the end of the video. So now I'm taking this blue pattern paper that has the words across it, and I'm just going to take a small strip. And so I just use my paper trimmer to cut it out, and then I just use a scrap piece of white cardstock just to add a little bit of detail, and so that there is a border between the two pattern papers. And I selected white because of the white around the edges of the trees. And so I use my large stitch rectangles from Lawn Fawn, and I trim out my piece, and then now I'm just going to trim off anything that's excess. And there's a tiny little sliver right there, and so I just use my X-Acto knife to try to get it off. And then I use my guillotine trimmer to cut off the bottom of the card. And it's really easy to line it up because the blade will show you exactly where to slice it off. And so now I'm just lining up my trees, and after I place my trees on there, use my Wink of Stella brush, my clear one, to just put some shine on the trees. Okay, this is where my sentiment just magically appears. And that's all for now, and thanks for watching, and I hope you liked the video.